The Vatican owns more than 5,000 properties worldwide, controls an estimated $2.5 billion in investments, and holds hundreds of millions in gold, some stored in the U.S. Federal Reserve. All this packed inside the world's smallest country, just 0.49 square kilometers. This isn't just about wealth. It's about global power, silent influence, and a financial empire hidden behind robes and rituals. But how did a religious institution amass such staggering control? And why are the details still so secret? Stay until the end, because once the curtain lifts, you'll never look at the Vatican the same way again. The Vatican covers less than half a square kilometer, making it the smallest independent state in the world. Yet somehow, its influence rivals that of global superpowers. As a sovereign city-state, it has its own government, its own armed security, its own bank, and its own legal system, all operating under centuries-old traditions. It maintains diplomatic ties with nearly every country on the planet, 184 official relations, not to mention countless unofficial channels. These aren't just symbolic handshakes, they're powerful backdoor connections, often facilitated through embassies known as nunciatures. Through them, the Vatican wields soft power that reaches presidents, prime ministers, and even secret negotiations during wars. While most people see the Pope as a humble religious figure, behind closed doors, he's a geopolitical player, a man whose words can inspire revolutions, broker peace deals, or bring entire governments to their knees. Now, let's talk about the Vatican Bank, officially known as the Institute for Works of Religion, or IOR. Sounds holy, right? But for decades, this institution has been wrapped in secrecy and some of the darkest financial scandals imaginable. From shady ties to Italian mafia families, to whispers of laundering money for dictators and criminals, the bank's past reads like a crime novel. In the early 1980s, nearly $1 billion vanished in a collapse involving Banco Ambrosiano, and the scandal escalated when its chairman was found hanged under London's Blackfriars Bridge, an alleged mafia execution. For years, financial oversight was almost non-existent. It wasn't until Pope Francis, alarmed by mounting scandals, launched a full-scale internal purge. Dozens of shady board members were removed, secret accounts were frozen, and new transparency rules were imposed to finally meet EU financial standards. Yet, despite all the reforms, murmurs persist. Somewhere in the shadows, it's believed that secret accounts and suspicious transfers still quietly move under the Vatican's golden rooftops. If you think the Vatican's influence stops at its walls, think again. The Church quietly owns over 5,000 properties across the world, an empire hidden in plain sight. We're talking about grand mansions in London's Mayfair, entire blocks in Rome, luxury apartments tucked into the heart of Paris, and even prime real estate in Switzerland's financial districts. Conservative estimates place the value of this portfolio in the billions. Some of it was inherited from ancient donations. Some was shrewdly purchased over centuries by religious orders and papal agencies. But none of it is random. Every property serves a strategic purpose, whether it's to generate rental income, provide diplomatic leverage, or simply hold wealth in tangible form. Yet with great power comes controversy. In 2020, a disastrous London property deal involving a former Harrods warehouse turned luxury apartments ended up costing the Vatican over $200 million and ignited criminal investigations into financial misconduct. Few outside the inner circles even realize this, but the Vatican holds significant gold reserves quietly stored away in vaults like those at the U.S. Federal Reserve in New York. Official numbers are hidden behind layers of confidentiality, but credible estimates suggest the Vatican's gold holdings range anywhere from several hundred million to well over $1 billion in value. Why gold? Because gold is eternal. It doesn't crash with stock markets. It doesn't get erased in economic recessions. It's timeless security and insurance policy against the chaos of the world. But how did the Vatican gather such a treasure? Part of it came from centuries of offerings by kings, queens, and the faithful. Some was accumulated through strategic financial transactions, during colonial expansions, and even wartime diplomacy. It's a delicate subject, especially considering the Church's complicated position during World War II. And while most modern governments chase cryptocurrencies and volatile investments, the Vatican continues to quietly sit on one of the most ancient forms of wealth ever known to humanity. Silent, untouchable, waiting. Behind the ancient walls and sacred halls, the Vatican is also a quiet but powerful investor. With an estimated endowment exceeding $2.5 billion, the Holy See holds significant stakes in industries many would never expect: pharmaceutical companies, insurance giants, banking institutions, and yes, even oil conglomerates. Most of these financial maneuvers are managed by APSA, the Administration of the Patrimony of the Apostolic See. If the Vatican were a corporation, APSA would be its Wall Street headquarters. The Church publicly claims that its investments follow strict moral guidelines: no arms manufacturing, no pornography, no exploitative interest lending. It's an image of ethical stewardship. But critics argue that in a world dominated by capitalism, ethical investing often gets messy. Profits from these portfolios aren't tucked away. They help cover annual deficits, fund charitable projects, and even pay salaries. So what now? Can the Vatican maintain its empire in a world demanding transparency? Will future popes embrace modern finance or retreat into tradition? There's talk of crypto experiments, sustainable investing, and even outsourcing financial management. Meanwhile, young Catholics are asking hard questions. Should the Church own luxury condos while preaching about poverty? So, behind the gold chalices and ancient rituals is an empire rich, secretive, and more powerful than most of us realize. It's not just about faith. It's about money, land, influence, and how all of it shapes the modern world. The Vatican isn't just a religious headquarters. It's a global player with billions at its fingertips. And the story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. If this opened your eyes, let us know in the comments. Share this with someone who still thinks the Vatican is just about prayers. And don't forget to subscribe and smash that bell icon. More truths are coming.